From the deepest, darkest tunnels they came, burrowing and banging, shouting and smashing. We soon learnt not to try to negotiate, save with axes and cannon. For thousands upon thousands of years we have fought them, and many think we will soon be defeated. Yet we have our plans, and someday we will take back our ancestral holds, or else destroy both those homes and the foul orcs who now pollute them. I've travelled far and wide to uncover the nature of the Orcs and Goblins. Although most of their true origin is unknown and lost to time, the first records of their existence were written and kept by the Dwarfs during the golden age of their people. The Orcs and the Goblins of the Warhammer Fantasy world live in countless barbaric tribes, spread across vast regions within the known world. The Orcs have hides of greenish hue. They are hideous in appearance, and their beady eyes glow red in the dark. They are taller and broader than a man, but stooped like an ape. There are innumerable tribes of greenskins living within different parts of the Warhammer world, and this number often fluctuates in almost a daily basis. Their encampments are squalid and extreme, and every so often tribes gather and migrate across the land. Their population can sometimes range from a mere several dozen individuals to as large as a vast horde. Orc traits and emotions have a reflection in the warp, the same as the traits and emotions of humans do. These orc traits manifest in the form of the strong, belligerent and indestructible orc gods, Gork and Mork. The difference between the two gods is very subtle. One of them is brutally cunning, and the other is cunningly brutal. The orcs often disagree which is which, and they sometimes fight wars over this matter. It is very common for orcs to worship Gork's brutality over Mork's cunning, just as much as goblins prefer Mork's cunning over Gork's brutality. Usually, however, most greenskins can never understand the difference, and at times consider the twin gods as one and the same. Nevertheless, these twin gods of war are always readily worshipped by all greenskins, in almost equal measure, with many shamans having the ability to interpret the twins' wishes and demands. Often, these messages are ones of war, with many tribes following the shaman's instructions of going to a particular location where other tribes shall gather and form into another war. Come, lads, to war! From the mightiest orc to the feeblest snotlings, the greenskin race lives only for war. All other activities are but a prelude to the next battle. Orcs are constantly fighting amongst themselves to establish the rule of the strongest. Thus there are endless layers of leaders and warlords, each vying for power. It is claimed there is no orcish word for equal. Upon the day, a mighty greenskin warlord of sufficient strength and cunning arises amongst the tribes. He gathers alongside him as many greenskins as he possibly can and launch at an earth-shattering campaign of violence and destruction that has the potential to destroy the old world in the Sea of Green. This violent invasion is known in tongues of the greenskins as the War. The word war is a guttural slang for the word war, a powerful word that always has the potential to unite the warring tribes of greenskins into the destructive force it has been famously known for. Small war occurs when a few greenskin tribes unite to launch an attack against a common foe, while a larger and more destructive war is an earth-shattering invasion that draws orc and goblin tribe from many thousands of miles around. Luckily, for the civilizations of the world, oftentimes these wars will barely last a few weeks before the tribes begin to squabble amongst themselves if not given a common enemy to fight. As such, the warlords of a war have to be the toughest and the most cunning greenskin around, for should his tyrannical rule prove too weak, the tribes would challenge his right to rule and splinter off into different factions. However, should they all find a destination and a common enemy from which they can fight, their advance upon the battlefield is ground-shaking to behold. The Orcs and Goblins have a vast diversity of troops at their disposal, more so than perhaps any other army. Orcs excel at close combat and boast some of the toughest warriors in the world. Orc and savage Orc boar boys are feared for the spread and destructive power of their charges. The mighty Black Orcs march at the front of any assault, using their sheer size and strength to brutal effect against any foe they face. The Goblins, smaller in size than their Orc cousins, use superiority of numbers, along with evil cunning to defeat their enemies, including fanatics hidden in their ranks and hungry squigs to aid them in battle. The Greenskins have invented or stolen many contraptions over time. For example, the Doom Diver catapult is an oversized sling that launches careless goblins with homemade wings towards the enemy troops. The sight of a giant looming over the battlefield is enough to strike fear into the hearts of an entire enemy army. Giants are very fond of alcohol, and Greenskins are willing to brew it to secure the valuable service of a giant in battle. Grimgor Ironhide is the greatest Orc warrior who ever lived. Grimgor is, without question, one of the most badass characters in the Warhammer Fantasy universe. He is always looking for the heaviest fighting and the strongest opponent to test his skills upon. He even went toe-to-toe in single combat with Archaon, the Lord of the End Times himself. The biggest and the meanest of the Black Orcs deserves an entire episode of his own, so we'll go deeper into his character in another video. We also have Azhag The Slaughterer. We will uncover a lot more details of this unique Orcish warlord on next Sunday's episode, which will be completely dedicated to Azhag. Next, chieftain of arguably the most powerful Night Goblin tribe in the known world. Skarsnik of the Crooked Moon is an outstandingly devious and sneaky individual in a race that exemplifies such traits. His rise to power was meteoric and well timed. Skarsnik is another character that definitely deserves his own episode in the near future. Another great leader among Orcs is Wurzag, also known as the Green Prophet. Like all Orc shamans, Wurzag is completely crazy. Though what he lacks in sanity, he more than makes up for with vision and inspiration. It is widely believed that an army with Wurzag in it has never been defeated in battle. Wurzag has only one vision: to find the greatest war boss to ever live and aiding in conquering all the lands of the old world and beyond. It is said that Wurzag has been given this mission by the twin warrior gods Gork and Mork themselves. Many civilizations have learnt to never underestimate the power of the Orcs. Great cities have been laid low by the Orcs, and many fine things have been overthrown and trodden into dust. Cities and armies from the Empire The High Elves and the Dwarfs have all been casualties of the bestial orcish fury, and wiping the Orcs and Goblins completely from the old world has proven an impossible task to accomplish. It doesn't matter how many of them you kill, there's always more. The Greenskins are always preparing for war, and they are always coming. On this channel, we are currently revisiting the good old world of Warhammer Fantasy, with new episodes every week, covering places, heroes, and battles that shaped the world of Warhammer. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes going forward. Next Sunday, we will go deeper into the lore of one of the most infamous Orcish warlords.
Thank you for watching. On this channel, we're putting together fan-made cinematic episodes featuring historical and fantasy battles based on the settings from the Total War series and, of course, good old World of Warhammer. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the notification button to be the first to watch the next battle.